It's The Local Show on News Radio 570 WSYR, a service of Geddes Federal Savings and Loan and Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to The Local Show. It's the 2022 Fall Edition. I'm your host, Tom Soccocio Jr., along with my friend and co-host, Steve Roberts. On The Local Show, we have conversations about local business with business owners, CEOs, CFOs, entrepreneurs, civic organizations, nonprofits, business advocates, and other business-friendly organizations. We talk about how they got into business and why they do business right here in Syracuse, New York, and where their businesses might be going in the future. Now, you're going to hear all about their successes, their challenges, opportunities, marketing, and advertising. We are broadcasting from the Zoe Advertising Studios, sponsored by Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. You can also see us on the internet on YouTube, so you can watch a video of what's going on and pull the curtain back and see all of our lovely guests' faces and how they react to Steve, which is really something to see. It might put a smile on your face. And that's all happening. Just click on that like button and also follow us on YouTube. Look up Zoe, Zoey, Advertising on YouTube. How you doing there, Steve?
I'm doing great. I made the call, Tom.
Did you? What was the call?
The call is...
Call your doctor?
No.
Oh.
It's time to put the boat away call.
Oh, that call. Yes, of course.
It's getting to that point.
It was very, and it was, I made the call, and it made it easy because the machine picked up at 43 North. I called because I'm awake early. I called really early.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, leave a message. And I'm like, yeah, I guess it's time. I felt like I don't know. It was a sad moment.
Well, it always is. Yeah.
I'm still going to fish. I'll fish into the, into the ice.
Of course.
I'll fish to ice. I'm not an ice fisherman, but it was very sad,
It is. I watched several videos during the week on how to prepare rose bushes for the winter and what to do with my hostas and what to do with my hydrangeas for the winter.
Joys of home ownership.
Wow, yeah.
All of those things, and of course YouTube being a great way to solve problems, right? Because
Absolutely. Did you put your pool to bed?
Of course, I don't have a pool,
that's
Steve,
right,
but I noticed.
Would you like one?
Yeah. I noticed that the neighbors have their cover on, and that's also sad when you look over and you see everybody's got their covers on their pools. And,
Why do they call it shock? What's the shock thing? When they shock a pool? What's that?
Will they shock a pool?
No, they call it shock. Like
I've heard that,
to kill the, I don't know. Things that need to be shocked.
Oh, yeah, in the pool. Yeah, with the algae and all that. Well, if you remember, we were talking with Sev Ganella, and I asked him what shock was, and he said it was just like a mega dose of chlorine.
Okay.
So it's like, a hyperdose.
Okay.
Which is nice.
Okay.
All right, that's got to smell pretty.
So it's like the COVID shot.
yeah, right.
Sorry, I just thought
Only the pools are cleaner. Yeah. After getting the shot.
Yes, and they were tested.
You've got it the right way. You don't have the pool your neighbors do. That's the perfect situation.
Well,
I never want a pool.
He's got pool
they don't invite me.
Yeah, he's got, Would you?
I don't know. Well, look, folks, we got a great show for you. I hope you'll stick around for the next couple of hours. Daniel Hartnett is the owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and he'll be on the show with us. And then Steve Irwin, transportation manager at Clinton's Ditch, will stop by. Matt Roberts, the co-founder and president of Sherrill Manufacturing. David Buff is the forester at B&B Lumber. Jimmer Sikowski stops by, tells his story all about Chick-fil-A. And then attorney John Murphy, owner of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. And then Ray Manassa wraps us up. He's the chief officer at the United Way, marketing officer. Ray Manassa, and I worked with Ray over at iHeartMedia at one point. So that'll be a nice conversation, all coming up on The Local Show. Dan Hartnett, how are you, man?
Living the dream. Doing well, thank you.
Good. You're the owner of Berkshire Hathaway. I thought that was like, when you had that many branches, you had to be some big wig, like out of California.
Tom, listen to the name.
I'm far from a big wig, that's for sure.
Listen to the name, Berkshire Hathaway.
Yes,
Doesn't
Berkshire.
it sound like, it's Berkshire Hathaway?
Yeah, hopefully it does. Yes, yeah. I'd rather have people think that than something else.
Wow. What's your background? How long have you been in real estate?
I've been in the real estate game since 1982.
Wow, that's my graduation
talking
year.
about 40 years. Yeah, long time.
Golly.
And I've been with a few other companies that are no longer around. And then I bought this company in January of 2010.
How many branches then?
Well, today we've got 8 offices.
8 offices.
Yeah.
And where are they located? What's your primary footprint?
Well, Central New York, CNY Realty. We go up to Watertown, over to Oswego, Utica, Skinny Atlas, Camillus, Fayetteville. How many?
Oh my goodness! So how many agents?
And North Syracuse and
how many
Cicero.
agents total then?
We've got just under 200.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's quite a few.
And everybody works independently, though. You don't have to hold their hand, per se, right?
No, we're here for support and training. They're all independent contractors. All the agents are. I've actually only got about 17 employees, but
Gotcha.
the rest are independent contractors.
Yeah, just for our YouTube listeners, the earthquake you're seeing is Dan hitting the table, just to make that clear. So
I can't notice anything.
Yeah, so
Oops, did I-
that's okay.
Sorry about that.
I like blaming it. Yeah.
Always have a scapegoat.
Yes.
So what's new, wild, and exciting in the world of homes and buying and selling and all that?
Well, there's a lot of talk about interest rates going up. I hope that doesn't have too much effect. We're still, actually, last year was our best year in sales. We've done more transactions, more dollar volume, fewer transactions. So that means that the prices have gone up.
Right.
And our footprint is improving. The Utica office has pretty much doubled the business that we did the previous year. So we're going gangbusters there. Watertown is doing great.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Is Watertown growing as a community? We don't want to say blocks and.
well, I think the military is always steady, but I think COVID had a big impact on recreational homes, waterfront homes.
Right. Yeah, up that way. Yeah, sure.
People, figured they isolated for long enough in their own house, and they figured it's time to get out and go get a house on the water or near the water.
Right.
So that's really worked out very well also.
So if someone was looking to get into a home, what recommendation, what would you say now with everything that's going on? Is there anything they should know?
Well, I think the first thing that everybody should do is go get pre-approved for a mortgage. So with interest rates, what you may have qualified for a year ago, you may not qualify for
And they could get
today.
it at Geddes, Tom.
That's right.
Just saying.
Get it at Geddes.
And not have to,
Absolutely.
Our friends at Geddes,
Our friends at Geddes.
not
We
have
love
to
Geddes.
pay PMI and all that.
Yeah.
And get a real strong approval, because there are some banks and institutions, I should say, especially faraway lenders, won't they say that you're approved, but maybe you're not. When it comes down to it, you don't get approved.
Just you, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, we get referrals from internet lenders for someone that has been approved or reached out to get approved. And then by the time the referral comes to us, maybe they bought a car or bought something else, and their interest, their things have changed.
Yeah,
so we want to caution against that for sure.
Sure. And you're still willing to talk to some agents that maybe want to work on your team?
We're always looking for the right agents. Absolutely. That's a great question. Perfect question. We're always expanding. We're always building. When I bought this company in January 2010, there were about 30 agents, and today we've got just under 200. So we're constantly growing and trying new markets and reaching out and doing training and giving support to our agents, which is...
Micron had said not only are they coming in, obviously, and making that big investment in the community, but they were saying some ancillary businesses, other types of businesses are going to be coming in. So it's going to be a big, boom for us. In about 20 seconds, how do you feel it'll affect the housing market around Syracuse?
It can have nothing but a positive impact. That's absolutely. They did this in, I've got a friend in Saratoga County and Stillwater, Malta, when Global Foundries went. He was the president of the State Association of Realtors a few years ago, and he said there's just no way to really prepare for this. It's you really got to be quick on your feet and make some positive moves.
They could buy a house from you.
Absolutely. They should all buy a house from me.
Right. That's Daniel Hartnett right there. Nice guy and, good businessman, obviously knows the business, owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Thank you so much, Daniel, and you have a great rest of the day, okay?
My pleasure.
All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Steve Irwin. He's the transportation manager at Clinton's Ditch, otherwise known as the Pepsi Place, right here on the local show on 570 WSYR.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Gettys Federal Savings and Loan and Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
We're back into it and back at it again. Welcome to the local show and to a wonderful, glorious weekend. The pumpkins that were green are now really oranging up. I killed the garden, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, when I say I mean Nick.
I like this. That's what young men should do. That's good.
I was mowing the lawn, and I said, Nicholas, you're not going to like this, but put the gloves on. You're going to start tearing apart the garden. And he said, already? I said, yeah, buddy, it's got to go, because we had a couple of those frosty mornings, and that just killed off all the
Did you
stuff.
Plow some of the seeds back into the ground so
No,
all kinds of weird things are going to pop up next year?
I'll try not to do that this year, because I think that the pumpkins strangled all the tomatoes and the zucchini and everything. Though pumpkins are like invasive.
Yeah, I need zucchini. Can you
They're
please
crazy.
plant zucchini next year?
Yeah, I'm going to do some zucchini, because we use that all the time.
Right.
That's like a staple.
I agree. I had some zucchini this week, cut it up into a salad with tomatoes, and I love zucchini.
Absolutely. That's the way it's got to be. Have you had any pie yet? This season?
I've got a problem, Tom. I gained a little weight.
Yeah, I gained a lot of weight.
So I'm doing the whole right now.
Trying to be
few
good.
Weeks, I'm not eating before 11, and I'm not eating after 7. And pie is an after 7 kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, it really is.
So I'll make exceptions, but right now, no pie.
Kelly has baked 2 pies, 2 apple pies, and then I made her buy a pumpkin pie over it.
So whipped cream or ice cream on top?
Ice cream. Yeah, ice cream, not whipped cream. Anyway, so enough about that. Oh, geez, really quickly, tell me about Gettys Federal Savings and Loan. We talk about them all the time, but, give me your brief and amazing
Well, you just
synopsis.
heard Dan in the last set was talking about that.
Yes, of course.
People still
Real
get
estate,
it at Gettys, and you had mentioned you don't have to pay PMI. They're here. They're local. Survey says when people call a financial institution, they like to talk to a real person.
Yeah, of course.
Dial 1 for this, dial 2 for this, dial 5 for this. They answer the phone there, Tom.
Yes.
You can talk to a real person all the time. You don't have to go to one of those awful menus.
Right.
And they'll answer your questions, and they're just terrific. So if you haven't, if you want to borrow off your home, do something to the house, anything like that, or maybe you're still going to get a house. Get it at Gettys. You go anywhere else, it's just downright silly, Tom. Get it at Gettys Federal SavingsandLoan.com.
And there we go. Steve Irwin is with us right now. He's the transportation manager at Clinton's Ditch, otherwise known as the Pepsi Place. How are you there, Steve?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good, my friend. So how long have you been over there as transportation manager?
25 years now.
That's a while. You don't hear about a lot of people sticking around at a job that long.
Yeah, it's kind of a rarity these days.
Were you 16 years old when you started?
I wish. I wish.
Was it out of desperation that you stayed, or is it just really a good place to work?
No, it's a great place to work. It's a great atmosphere, great company, very stable company, and the team. It's a team, and I like being part of the team. It's a great company to work for.
What do they do at Clinton's Ditch? A lot of people are confused sometimes by the name, and then it's kind of rebranded as the Pepsi Place. But what does that mean for the general consumer?
So one of the reasons we rebranded it the Pepsi Place was because that's what we do, right? At the plant, we actually manufacture the soda, all sorts of Pepsi products and various other products, waters, seltzer waters, teas, punches, you name it, we do it. And then we take it and we distribute it to distributors who then in turn take it and peddle it in stores and supermarkets, that type of stuff. So kind of a self-sufficient plant. We make our own bottles there. We do everything from the ground up. Water comes in and beverages go out.
Tom, I was on the Thruway last week going out towards Albany, Utica, and you see the big Pepsi trucks. And I'm always looking to see if it says Clinton's Ditch, and it does.
Yep.
Now there's some other trucks going around that don't say it. What are those?
Those would say probably New Bern on them, and those are actual Pepsi fleet vehicles. Pepsi has New Bern Transportation is their private fleet, and that's what it says on the
are those the ones that go to the store and actually deliver it there?
Yes, they deliver it to the store, your gas stations, supermarkets, Walmarts, all them places.
Are you allowed to walk through the factory and just grab something off the conveyor belt and start drinking it?
No, unfortunately, no.
You can't do that. They don't let you do that.
Give me a do.
Things have changed. Health rules and regulations have come a long way. Yeah.
Tom's not good at those.
No. What kind of people work at the Pepsi place? What kind of jobs are over there?
So there's all sorts of jobs. In the plant, you have two facets, right? You have the plant and then you have transportation. So in the plant, we have everything, general laborers, skilled laborers. They have some highly trained technicians because, as you can imagine, being in a factory, all that stuff is all computer controlled now.
Oh, yeah.
And so the day of just being a backyard mechanic and working on that stuff is gone. These guys are the plant mechanics are highly trained. They do a fantastic job of keeping that plant running. In transportation, we have technicians for the equipment for the trucks and trailers,
right.
And we have drivers. And proud to say that we have some of the safest drivers in New York State. Been that way for a long time, and we hope to keep it that way.
Right. Is there any place that has trucks that isn't hiring drivers?
No. No. That's a real easy answer. No.
Yeah.
Drivers are in real short supply. The challenges for drivers have the challenges have really increased over the years. More vehicles on the road, more aggressive driving on the road.
Yeah, I know. I'm married to one.
Driving is a very challenging job today, and more and more people just don't want to deal with it. It's a frustrating job, and then on top of that, you're dealing with the weather, right? I mean,
right. Oh, yeah.
7 months out of the year here, we have the possibility of snow. So
why you got to be like that? You sound like Tom. 7 months? No, it's like 3.
Maybe 6.
How many trucks do you have up there?
So we run 45 trucks, and we run from New Hampshire to Virginia on our fleet. So, but the plant, we actually ship all over the country. We ship as far as California out of the plant.
So why drive for Pepsi when everyone in the world is hiring for truck drivers? So
one of the reasons why I think you should come drive for us is, like I said a few minutes ago, it's a great place to work, right? It's employee orientated. The company cares about the employees, and it shows in everything they do. Our drivers are typically home every day. We do have a couple of guys that spend nights on the road, but that's what they want to do. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They choose to do that. But 95% of our drivers are home every day, and for the most part, they don't work weekends. They work a longer day, but they have their weekends off. So guys can. They can plan stuff on the weekends, and they have family life, right? Because that's important. It's important to have some family time. A lot of the over-the-road drivers, they have very little family time. And by the time they get home, they're tired, they're exhausted, they don't want to do anything. So we offer that more family time in our business.
Do you rent your trucks, or do you actually own them?
No, we own everything.
So that means you have to have somebody to work on them, right?
Yep, and we've got our own technicians. We're actually in the process of building a state-of-the-art transportation facility, which will have a state-of-the-art maintenance facility. That's the one area we're probably lacking with for transportation right now. Is
you need mechanics?
We do need mechanics.
Yeah.
Yep, we are still looking for some mechanics. We have hired a couple of people over the past couple of weeks, which is good.
Good, yeah.
Are they driving new trucks, old trucks, somewhere in the middle?
Somewhere in the middle, right? We have new trucks. We buy new trucks every year. We get 4 to 5 new trucks every year, so we're always turning the fleet over. Our fleet's becoming newer and newer. Because we're buying more than we were in the past.
So all this stuff can be seen, the jobs and all the availability at thepepsiplace.com.
Correct.
So they can see the driving jobs, the labor jobs, the transportation jobs, all of those things. So if they go there, or maybe someone's listening and you're trying to inspire a young person, this is a great job. And I've heard what they pay, Tom. They pay really well.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, Steve wouldn't be there, if they didn't. That's Steve Irwin, ladies and gentlemen. He's the transportation manager at Clinton's Ditch. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
You have a great rest of the day, okay?
You do the same.
All right. Matt Roberts is up next. He's the co-founder and president of Sherrill Manufacturing. We'll get his whole story right here on The Local Show. Don't you go anywhere, right here on 570 WSYR.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Gettys Federal Savings and Loan and Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
We're back at it again. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful fall weekend. Do you know when we fall back on the time, Steve?
No.
Of course you don't.
I heard it.
I do.
I heard it. Well, you do? You
I
know
think
something.
So. I believe it's the first Sunday in November.
Okay, so you
been a
just fall backward or forward, Tom?
You fall forward. Okay. No, you fall back. And the reason why I was checking, because I thought it might be this weekend, with Halloween and all that. So.
Right. No, I wish they would just leave it alone.
Yeah.
I
don't know what it does.
We looked up when that started because we had the question, like, when did that start? And I thought it was Jimmy Carter because I want to blame him for everything.
Yeah, of course.
But it wasn't. It was actually Gerald Ford.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, I don't know that he did anything else. But That's what he did.
Well, I don't know. It's I like it only because it reminds me a little bit of time travel, but not really.
There you go.
Anyway, let's talk to our guest right now. Somebody who's probably more grounded than the both of us. It's Matt Roberts. He's the co-founder and president of Sherrill Manufacturing. How you doing there, Matt?
I'm doing great, guys. Thank you for allowing me to show up in your new digs.
Well, thank you. Speaking about digs, you got some nice place out there in Sherrill, New York, and we'd like to hear more about that. So, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself, what your background is, your educational background, and then your profession. How'd you get into this business?
Well, I'm a Central New York guy, born and raised Utica, New York. Ended up going to Oneida High School, MVCC for engineering science, Clarkson University for electrical engineering, SU, a couple master's degrees. Sounds like I was I was a professional.
Wow.
Master's MBA and a master's in electrical engineering. So I was a professional student early on in my life. But
good golly.
I started working for Oneida Limited in 1991, and the demise of the company due to the I would call it unfair competition from our friends in China.
Sure.
We bought the factory, Greg Owens and I, in 2005. And we've been there for over 17 years.
Isn't that something? When did you go to SU? Were you in L.C. Smith College of Engineering? Or?
Yeah, I graduated from Clarkson in '86. And I worked for General Electric in Utica. And they had a program called the Edison Engineering Program. So it was more like a management training program.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we got a master's. It took us 3 years because we were working full time. So I graduated in '89 from SU from LC Smith, and then I went back when I worked for Oneida. I wanted to, because it was all engineering and didn't know a lot about operations. I didn't know what a balance sheet was.
Right.
Tom still doesn't know.
Yeah, I thought it was something.
I'm not very balanced.
You put the weights on it, right?
Yeah.
But in 2000, I graduated from SU with an MBA.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know if you were there when I was there in the early 80s.
He's way younger, Tom.
Yeah. No.
Well, no, I would have been there in the early 80s.
Yeah, he would have been. But yeah, I was just thinking about that because just a little sidebar, since it's, Halloween-y time. I remember seeing the band Oingo Boingo doing Dead Man's Party over there at Maggie's back in the 80s.
Holy cow. Now you're dating.
Yeah. They were in the movies, too. They were in Back to School and all that. So anyway, Sherrill Manufacturing, those buildings out there, first of all, Sherrill is beautiful. I think all of Oneida is beautiful. And you drive up Route 5, you get to Sherrill, and how many of those buildings do you still own or operate out of?
Sherrill, the Silver City, which I call Mayberry. legendary because it's just a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It was 1 million square feet at one time under roof.
1 million? Are you just exaggerating? Or?
1,070,000.
Oh, wow.
Okay, to be exact.
Wow. He's an engineer. Don't argue with him, Tom.
That's big.
Yeah. So we ended up selling the land and buildings to a developer, the same gentleman, the group that owns the Magna plant. And they're developing the facility. So we've consolidated ourselves because we're a lot smaller than Oneida used to be. We've consolidated ourselves into about 125,000 square feet. Our neighbors are Briggs & Stratton, which is Ferris.
Oh, right.
Ferris
Yeah.
lawnmowers.
Absolutely.
So
Great.
they're on site. There's a couple other manufacturers and other office space. So they're doing a good job redeveloping the space. But we're still making forks, knives, and spoons in Sherrill, New York.
Right. Well, Oneida used to make lots of silver things, right? Not just flatware.
Yeah. In the mid-'90s, they closed the hollowware factory, but they used to make pots and pans and
okay. Gotcha.
tea sets and things like that.
Any silver bullets for werewolves?
No silver bullets.
Okay. All right.
Only silver anodes in the silver plating
So,
solution.
are there a lot of people in the United States making, manufacturing flatware silver? It's a loaded question. I know the answer. Are there a lot of people doing that, Matt?
There is one manufacturer of stainless steel flatware. There are a couple small garage-sized companies that make sterling, but nobody makes stainless steel flatware except for us.
Right.
So, if people want to buy American, you're it.
If it says USA on the back of the piece, it was made in Sherrill, New York.
Great.
Wow.
Now, people are probably gearing up for November, which there's some sort of a holiday that I'm aware of.
Election day?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And,
It might be. It depends how it goes.
Yes.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
everybody's eating crow.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. We might be having a Cornish game hen. That's about all we can afford. But if people want to, update their flatware before the family gets there, can they do that?
Absolutely. This is the time of year where we're building inventory. The biggest time of the year for us is Black Friday through Christmas Eve.
Gotcha.
So we're building inventory we always have things on sale on our website, libertytabletop.com. So just go on the website, check it out. If you want to call our toll-free number, you can find that on the website. We have we have 3 customer service people now, and they have incredible product knowledge, and they can help you wade through some of the things that you need to know about our flatware.
So, buy American, that's nice, but talk about the product, because if the product isn't comparable or better, it becomes, a challenge, I imagine.
Right. So because we sell directly online, we don't have to do what our competitors are doing, which is a race to the bottom. Where can I find the cheapest factory in China, Indonesia, Vietnam, India, and sell my wares? So we actually build quality back into it. We've added processes that were gone for years when it was Oneida. So we feel that we have the highest quality flatware in the world, and we use 100% melted in the United States stainless steel. So it's
pretty impressive.
We require that. We look at the actual the chemical makeup of the steel. We make sure that it's melted in the United States.
Is it true that the great Kreskin couldn't bend one of your spoons?
He probably could. If you go to some of the diners around here, you can bend it.
Let's have a show of hands out there. Who remembers the great Kreskin?
I was at OCC, Tom. He showed up there. He did a show.
Get out.
I have a picture in a box I took of him. I don't know if he was bending a spoon or doing something like this.
Right,
but,
right.
No lie. The great
That was a
deceiving
great show.
Kreskin.
I used to love that.
It was. So product-wise, if people want to see it, they can see it at libertytabletop.com. Did I have that right?
That's the website. And then we have a samples program. So if you have 2 or 3 different designs that you're interested in, you can call us up or you can order online, and we'll send you 3 samples. And then you can feel, touch, and take a look at the design and see if you like it. And if you like it, then you can keep the 3 samples. It's a nominal fee for the samples. And about half of our sample orders turn into an order.
Wow. How many people out there now?
75.
Are you still looking for people?
Yes,
or
we are.
Oh, good. Okay.
We are looking for maintenance people. We're looking for machine operators. We need a lot of help, just like a lot of manufacturers in the United States.
It's incredible. We have all these jobs available, and people still choose to I don't know what.
Not work?
Panhandle and not work. I don't know what they're
I
doing.
always say if you could fall off your couch and land on a job in Central New York.
Really, at this point, right? Well, that's Matt Roberts right there. He's the co-founder and president of Sherrill Manufacturing. LibertyTabletop.com, LibertyTabletop.com. Get there today. You might be surprised at what you see, and order a whole new set for when the family comes over for Thanksgiving. Thank you so much, Matt, and you have a great rest of the day, okay?
Thank you, gentlemen. Have
Awesome.
a great day.
All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk with David Buff. He's a forester at B&B Lumber. Stick around for that conversation right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR and 106.9 FM.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Gettys Federal Savings and Loan and Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back into it and back out of the woods. Here we go. It's
Can't
the
help yourself.
Local Show.
You can't help yourself, can you, Tom?
No, I can't. We're talking about the woods because we're going to be talking with David Buff, who is a forester at B&B Lumber. You know, we went out to take pictures with Nicholas, and when we did this was last weekend, and we went up to Highland Forest. So we walked through the forest.
I have not been there in a long time. We did like a wagon.
Wagon
horse-drawn
ride,
thing back, 15 years ago or something.
Yeah.
How'd it go? How far'd you walk? And you can walk long distances, Tom?
Yeah, slowly.
Okay.
Chase and Mikey, we brought the dogs, which was a mistake. I feel guilty if I leave them home, but they're such a pain.
You feel guilty no matter what.
Yes. And you know where else we went was on the way up there, we stopped at Delphi Falls.
I don't know if I've ever been
Yeah, right in Orrin, Delphi, and went to Delphi. Beautiful little falls.
Wait a minute. I've driven by there.
Yeah.
Was anybody fishing?
No one was fishing, but we did have several families stopping by and taking pictures. And Nicholas had his new camera and all that, so it was fun. It was very, very nice. But my allergies are just kicking up, and I don't know what it is with the fall, but it was a little uncomfortable. I had to take medication to keep my eyes open.
It can either make you sleepy or actually the opposite.
The opposite,
it can make
sure.
you hyper.
I'd love to be hyper a little bit.
Yeah, you get more work done.
Yeah, right. But then we'd cancel each other out. Two hypers make a negative.
That's not good.
That's good. All right, so let's talk with David Buff right now, forester at B&B Lumber. How are you doing today, David?
Good. How are you guys?
Very good, my friend. Aside from the allergies, of course. But you're out in the woods all the time, aren't you?
All the time. Allergies aren't the biggest one, though. The ticks.
Ticks.
Ticks are horrible.
TikTok. Tell me about it. Because I was concerned when we took the dogs out. I, laid them down and, started beating them with I started to. I did, pet them and was looking for ticks.
Right.
Because Steve had a problem with tick on Zoe.
2014.
Oh, yeah, you had it on yourself.
I got Lyme disease.
Oh,
yeah.
So the tick found me, and that was a rough 6 months. And before that,
Yes,
Zoe
it
had
was.
had Lyme from some tick somewhere.
So do you see a lot of ticks? I mean, are you picking them off your body?
Yesterday, 3 or 4
Get
were
outta
in
here.
me, and I brushed off 36. I counted.
Get out of
No
here.
way.
Oh, I'm dead serious. Couldn't be more serious.
You're not welcome back to the local show. studio.
You don't have any on you
I'm
right
all
now.
clean. I'm all clean. I promise.
Yeah, let's get
check.
Yeah, right. Let's get a camera on this guy. Close
Oh my
up.
goodness! So that's serious.
Oh, it's bad.
I didn't realize that.
It's
How are they on your clothes? And
Yeah, I try to wear light colored clothes.
Yeah.
So, when you're walking through, you can see them crawling on you. And
All
get 'em
right.
off.
Well, important safety tip, ladies and gentlemen. If
So-
you're going out in the woods,
Right. So
tick check.
that is. So tell us what you do.
So work for B&B Lumber. I'm a forester there. Go out and kind of take a look at these private landowners' forests, really, and kind of give them an idea of what they need done or what they want done, and my, in quotes, professional opinion on how to manage that and create a better forest for the future. So
Manage. Explain that a little bit.
I'm getting a thing to the right because apparently they can't see me. They're
There we
perfect. So management, a lot of people, have their forests and they don't understand what they want done necessarily. So they'll bring me in and say, hey, look, I want some money for it, clearly. But I also don't want to murder the forest, and I want to be able to have it, 10 to 15 years down the road to be able to do this again.
Okay.
So I'll come in and kind of take, the junk wood out and take some of the good stuff and make sure they're getting their money. But the biggest thing is creating a future for that woods.
So what does B&B Lumber do then? Are you just forest management, or do you actually make
forest
things?
management, logging? We do hardwood flooring from all of the trees that we log.
I see.
Pallets is one of the biggest things. Yeah, we do a lot. So we
Right.
do animal bedding with the sawdust. So fun fact, not one part of the tree that we log gets put to waste.
I see.
So-
Do you sell that bedding to
Farmers.
retail places? Oh,
Farmers.
farmers,
Yep.
right?
Yep. So buy the dump truck loads and stuff like that.
So if someone has some property, maybe it's hundreds of acres, maybe it's 50 acres, maybe it's less, but they have a home or a farm or whatever it is, you can come in, you can say, hey, here's what we would do to manage the land and take care of it, and here's the income you could derive from it.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And the biggest thing, it's really what the landowner wants. I mean, there's never one perfect answer for every woods.
Sure.
So it's, if the landowner wants, for deer management, maybe he wants some areas cut a little bit harder, it's.
Wait, deer management. So wait a minute. So you can explain that to me. So how do the way you take care of the forest affect the deer?
So deer, I'm a hunter myself. I'm sure, maybe you guys are, I'm not sure. But the deer like really thick areas. They like being able to, eat, obviously. So if you cut an area harder, naturally there's going to be more tops that are left in the woods, creates better bedding, creates a little more food, makes the deer feel safe and comfortable. So if you can do that in different areas of your land, you create this perfect, well, I shouldn't say perfect, but you create this area.
Right. A false sense of security so you can blow the deer's head off. I get it. Yeah. That makes
If that's
sense.
how you want to
Makes
look
them
at
feel
it.
comfortable and tasty.
Yeah. Wonderful.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to do it.
So at B&B Lumber, you were talking about all the things that, they do. How long have they been in business? How long has B&B been around?
Well, I want to say my great-grandfather started it in Nedrow.
Oh, okay.
And that was early 1970s.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I do remember it. Obviously
too.
growing up on the edge of Nedrow, I grew up
He
by
can't
Green
help
Hills.
himself. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, Green Hills Farms.
Oh, yeah.
And
Best donuts around right there.
absolutely, yeah, bread, everything. So yeah, and I remember going by there. There was a car wash up there too. They put a car wash up in Nedrow. So when I was a kid, I got my first car. I'd go up there and wash the rust off. But yeah, B&B was up there. And then what do you do with the Hardin place?
Hardin Furniture.
Yeah, Hardin
Yep.
Furniture.
So-
You guys
so we
bought that, right?
Recently,
Yeah.
a few years ago, and that's where all of our high grade logs. So the higher price logs go to make flooring, and we'll sell the lumber outright. And for a big one that we do is cabinetry.
Wow.
So yep.
So do you make the cabinets?
No,
or
we don't.
Just
we
the
don't
wood
make
for it,
Yep,
right?
We'll saw the lumber and then sell it to the cabinet manufacturers.
So when you say you saw it, do you saw it into 2x4s, 4x6s,
No,
sheets? What?
A lot of it it's called 4/4. So it's really like a little over an inch or around an inch thick, and then multiple different widths depending on how big the log is.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about going on people's lands. Steve was alluding to the fact that no matter how much acreage you have, you might go out there. But it seems very finite to me because there can only be so many people with that much land around here.
You'd be
wrong?
surprised. So don't quote me on this, but there's a fun little fact that I think New York State Forest is growing 3 times as fast as it's getting cut.
Well, I'm going to quote you on that.
Yeah. Don't quote me.
Tom, did you hear what he said?
Yeah, but that's interesting. But you probably make all the climate alarmists and everything mad now because you're actually speaking the truth.
Well, the forest is in better shape when it's managed.
Yes,
Correct.
well, that's right.
When it just falls on itself, and that's forest fires and all those things.
Yeah,
when
It does no good.
Right. So if someone wanted to get a quote on their property, hey, just have you come out, take a look, have a conversation.
Yep.
The of course 315, that's the big area code, Tom.
The big one, yes.
492 1786.
Yes, sir.
So write this number down if you have some forest and you want to at least talk to David. 492-1786. You certainly can go to BB Lumber, which looks like blunder.
Blumber. Yes, Blumber.
Blumber.com. But that'll work too, Tom.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, David. And you keep those ticks off you, okay?
I'll try. Thank you, guys.
All right. Kicking off hour number 2 of the local show, we'll have conversations with Jimmer Soccocio. He's the owner-operator of Chick-fil-A, Cicero, and Clay. Attorney John Murphy stops by, owner of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. And then Ray Manassa. He's the chief marketing officer at the United Way of Central New York. Stick around. Hour number 2 starts real soon.
It's The Local Show on News Radio 570 WSYR, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome back and welcome in again. This is hour number 2 of the local show. Get ready for some engaging interviews with Jimmer Soccocio. He's the owner and operator of Chick-fil-A, Cicero, and Clay. And then attorney John Murphy stops by, Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts, along with Ray Manassa, who's the chief marketing officer at the United Way of Central New York, all in hour number 2. We're broadcasting from the Zoe Advertising Studios, sponsored by Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. Now, folks, it's not too complicated. The number 2 search engine in the world is YouTube.
Yes, it is.
And YouTube is it's actually the best of the social medias. They say that it just outranks and has more viewers and more people connecting with it because it's wonderful in that you can ask it a question. How do I cover my roses so they don't die over the winter? And you can get 50 videos.
So let me ask you a question. So how do I deal with Tom and his weirdnesses?
You could put that. I don't know if anybody's made a video on that yet.
I should.
Maybe my wife has a secret channel. How to deal with Tom.
No, so on the
So
Zoe
we're there.
We're there. So
Yeah.
Zoe, please subscribe. People are just starting to do that.
Yes.
Subscribe and hit the smash
like
the
button.
like button.
Yes.
And then
then
you'll get
follow us.
notified,
Right.
and you'll be able to not only hear but to see the guests and get to know them better.
Sure.
For all the local business.
And then you can comment too. I don't know if we have the comments turned on or off. I guess I
it's
got to
on.
check with Brad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we'll do that.
I'll have people say Steve is better looking than Tom.
Right. Yeah, we can do that. All right. Right now we have the pleasure to talking to our dear old friend, Jimmer Soccocio, who's the owner-operator of Chick-fil-A, not only in Cicero, but also in Clay. Jimmer, thank you for being here. How are you?
I am well. It's my pleasure. It's been a long time, and it's so good to see you guys.
Good to be seen. First time at the new Zoe Studios.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yes.
I really like it.
And we have an elevator.
Yes.
We've arrived.
Which,
huh?
yeah, hey, it works for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And Tom got this big studio office,
yes.
so he's spoiled. We're doing little payroll deductions every week to pay for it from him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know it because he never looks at his pay stub. Kelly does all the financial stuff, so don't tell him.
I wanted to put a little buffet unit in here and then have Chick-fil-A.
Listen, if you do
catered.
it, there'll be nuggets in that buffet.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah,
That's wonderful.
well, Chick-fil-A, Tom.
Yes. So, Jimmer, you've got an interesting story, and the story keeps evolving. Tell us, let me just go back a little bit. I remember seeing Jimmer first. I knew about him through a couple of friends. And one of them was Rick Yacobush, who just loved Chick-fil-A. He's a super fan, wouldn't you say?
He is yes, he's a raving fan.
Yeah.
I would say.
And he was over at iHeart at the time. And so I knew you from him. And then I was at the Soho show, right? Soho.
That's
and
right.
then you spoke at Soho.
Yeah.
And I heard your story and I thought, wow, this guy's got such an interesting story. Can you kind of water that down and give people a 60-second version?
Sure. Yeah, I grew up not far from here in Western New York, and grew up poor. So I had never eaten in a Chick-fil-A my entire life until I was 37 years old.
Wow.
We had moved to North Carolina. I was working for IBM. I ultimately spent 20 years there. And I quickly realized in North Carolina, Chick-fil-A was kind of a big deal.
Right.
In fact, one funny story, we were interviewing a young lady to be a babysitter. And at the end of the interview, she says, "Y'all are so lucky." And I thought she was going to say, beautiful kids,
right,
nice house,
like that.
right? She says, "Y'all got a Chick-fil-A right across the street." And I thought, man, that's kind of weird. Somebody would be that infatuated
with a food place, right? Yeah.
Right. But eventually I got on board. And what I'll say is this. We fell in love with the way that we felt when we went to a Chick-fil-A restaurant.
Interesting.
The food, listen, was incredible. But the way we were treated, the way we felt. And then eventually a guy who worked for me at IBM called me up and said, "I'm leaving to go work for Chick-fil-A in their corporate office." And I really respected the guy and would call him every couple months. And he would just rave about working for Chick-fil-A. Eventually, I went down to their corporate headquarters thinking someday a corporate job. I was blown away by my experience. Mm-hmm. And then I kept working at IBM and getting less happy. Mm-hmm. And I finally decided one day I don't want to do this anymore. And I called my friend at Chick-fil-A, and he asked me a question that changed my life. He said, "Have you ever thought about being a Chick-fil-A operator?" And my answer was a resounding no.
Sure, right.
Now that you mentioned it, no.
Yeah.
Crossed my mind.
You're a big wig at IBM. Why would you, even think about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, but he said, the more I meet our operators, the more I see you in them. Uh-huh. And so I hung up the phone and I put in an expression of interest. Long story short, almost exactly 5 years ago, I left IBM after a 20-year career to go sell chicken for a living in upstate New York.
How many people enter the interest? How many people do that? Because that's kind of a popular thing.
It is, yeah. So last year, 80,000 people did that.
80,000?
80,000.
To be owner-operators?
Correct. Wow. And we open about 130 restaurants a year. You guys are kind of smart.
Well, sort of.
I was being generous.
Yeah, right.
I was being
he was looking
divided
at me.
by two.
I saw Steve on his phone.
He was looking at me
as I was throwing out those numbers.
Yeah,
but suffice to say, the odds are not great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so it's been the most challenging and gratifying thing I've ever done in my life, besides being a husband and father.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost even a higher odds that people would get two Chick-fil-A's in a city or a town, isn't it?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. First of all, you have to run an exceptional restaurant. Mm-hmm. Something that Chick-fil-A would like to replicate. And I think more importantly, you have to build a leadership team that allows you to replicate it.
There you go.
Yeah,
because
that's tough.
there are not two of me.
Right.
Right. So I cannot be at both of those restaurants every day. And so you go through another selection process for that. And it's a very thorough, challenging process. Yeah. I'm very blessed.
Pretty incredible. And I do remember when we first met you, Jimmer, I had driven over to test the place out, and it was early morning for me, so around noon. No, it was actually early morning, and Jimmer was out in the parking lot picking up garbage from the parking lot, and I mean, and not for show. I mean, the guy was digging in. He was picking up cigarette butts, everything, and I was just like, wow, this guy takes this job seriously, and he's really committed to running a stellar place.
I'll tell you why I do it. There's two reasons, Tom, why I do those things. First of all, I think your guest experience starts in the parking lot.
Very true. Yeah.
Yep.
Right? If you're walking in a place and it's dirty outside, I think it's a reasonable assumption to make that other parts of the restaurant
That's
dirty.
fair.
That's
That's
right.
fair.
right? I think the other reason is this. I want everyone to know who works for me that there is no job below me. And therefore,
right.
there is no job below anybody else at that restaurant. So, yeah, that's why I do it.
Interesting. Well, Jimmer, do you mind sticking around? We're going to keep talking to you.
I'd love to.
All right, we'll take a quick commercial break. Folks, we've been talking with Jimmer Soccocio. He's the owner-operator of Chick-fil-A in Cicero and Clay, and we're going to come back and keep talking about Chick-fil-A and then get into Jimmer's personal life, too. We're going to flip up all the rocks and have him talk about that. Coming up on the local show right here on 570 WSYR and 106.9 FM. Stick around.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with us through the entire weekend, and we do appreciate your company. And sometimes I appreciate your company, folks, more than Steve's.
I knew that was coming. I knew it. Well, Tom, we were talking earlier with Jimmer, and we're going to continue it. So the first person I think you met in Syracuse was my mom knocking on your door saying, "Why are you here and why have you ruined the neighborhood?" Is that what you said?
She showed up at the trailer that we had on the construction site.
Oh, goodness.
That I was operating out of.
Okay.
She knocks on the door and she introduced. We had a pleasant little conversation. I realized after the fact, I think she was coming to just scope out who was moving into her.
She's a very curious lady.
Correct. But we had a wonderful conversation, and then she started showing up often. The next time she showed up, it was with a plate of cookies.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's
So she brought you food.
She brought me food.
Before the restaurant was built.
Correct.
Okay.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, that's
I
something
see your
else.
mom at least every other week.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yes.
Let's ask you about some seasonal goodies that we can, look forward to. It's, we're heading into November here,
Yep.
and then right into Christmas. Does Chick-fil-A put out any new products or different products for this season?
We do. So so our current seasonal items that are coming to a close soon are the Autumn Spice Milkshake,
Yes.
which essentially feels like Thanksgiving in a milkshake.
And it has enough
Yes.
calories to sustain any human for a week.
Is that the one you've
Did
been
I say
getting?
that? Is that true?
You certainly could sustain yourself calorically on that milkshake.
But it's worth it.
It is. The other one we've got going right now is a spicy grilled sandwich.
Okay.
So a healthier version of our
Wait a
spicy.
minute. I haven't
right-
had that.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
Really good. A bit spicy, but really good.
I'm good.
But for the winter,
Yes.
we're bringing back our always popular peppermint chip milkshake.
Yes. Okay. Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And our chicken tortilla soup.
Very nice.
Okay, I've had all of those things.
Really
All
good.
of it. Good.
Really good.
Hey,
So,
yeah, and hopefully that's right. I'm not even thinking about it, and now you've made me think about it. Santa Cow, you'll probably be doing that again. Maybe we can do
We'll
the
be
photo
doing
booth.
breakfast with you and I got to talk.
Yeah, I'd love to do the photo booth.
Yeah.
again. That
We'll be
was fun.
doing it for sure.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yep.
All right. So, Jimmer, I couldn't help but notice you came in a scooter. Is that just your fashion statement or what? What are you
No,
doing?
it's something I use now. I need now as a result of my diagnosis of ALS just over a year and a half ago.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a progressive disease, and certainly I've had some progression, which is hard, super challenging, and certainly I have bad moments,
Right.
bad hours, but I don't really have bad days.
Interesting.
Why?
Because I've surrendered my life to Jesus Christ. That's the short answer. The reality of what I'm going through is this. I have lost some things physically. But what God tells me is I've lost very little. And whatever I've lost physically, I've gained spiritually. I am a better follower of Christ. I'm a better father, a better husband, a better leader. And I don't like how it's happening, but it's happening. So God is using my suffering for his glory. And I'm grateful for that, no matter how it's coming.
How have you dealt with your employees in trying to keep them relatively maybe upbeat or to have them make sense of what's going on to you?
I try to do what I've always done. It's just love and care for them. And the crazy part of this whole thing is my capacity to love and care is greater. Again, I don't like how it's happening, but it is. And
how do you explain that?
I think when you go through something like this, you spend more time with God, and He opens your heart. When you suffer, you become more empathetic.
Right.
And I would say that this sounds crazy, I know, but you actually think less about yourself.
Yeah, that does sound counterintuitive to what's going on with you.
Yeah, and certainly that wasn't the case at the beginning, after my diagnosis. In those first months, I was devastated, and it was all about myself, what it meant for how long I was going to live, what it meant for my ability to do certain things.
Right.
But as time went on, I realized the important things in life, nothing's changed.
Right. What would you tell someone that maybe looks and goes, well, of course he's trusting Christ. The guy's suffering. He's got pain. Yep. No kidding. So I guess that's good for him. What would you tell someone that would maybe have that perspective?
My experience in the last 19 months is that it's actually often more hard to trust Christ and turn to Christ in these situations, because you question, why me?
Right.
Yeah.
Why have you forsaken me?
Right.
And that's where the rubber meets the road, spirituality-wise and faith-wise. Trust me, there are many other options besides turning to Christ and trusting him.
There you go.
You can turn inward. You can be selfish and desperate. But the path I chose was him. And that's where I try to keep my focus.
But your walk with Christ had begun long before the disease diagnosis.
Sure. With that said, this has allowed me to get much closer.
Right.
And trust. I don't know how this is going to shake out for me on this earth.
Right.
I do know how it's going to shake out for me after that. So I've already won.
How's Betty?
She's awesome.
I knew that. How's she doing?
Right. Betty's his wife, for those of you keeping up with things.
She is. She has said to me many times, God has uniquely prepared us for this. And grace is going to come from this. she's the strongest human being I've ever been around, by far. And I could not do it without her. And she's becoming a much bigger part of her business, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Wonderful. We've been speaking with Jimmer Soccocio. He's the owner and operator of Chick-fil-A in Cicero and Clay, and has been for how many years has it been now, Jimmer?
It'll be, 5 years, but the first store, Cicero.
Right.
5 years, February 22nd next year.
Wow. There you go. So he's
time for a party.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. And Jimmer, of course, dealing with ALS and doing a great job in that he's walking with Christ and sharing that story with us. You're a strong individual, and just from all of us here, we love you, and we always have.
I know that. Yeah. And I love you. Okay. You guys have meant a lot to me, and continue to. You do great stuff. God has mighty plans for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Jimmer Soccocio right there, folks. Next up, we're going to talk with John Murphy. He's the owner of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. So stick around right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
This is Brad, the editor of The Local Show with Tom and Steve. Join the fight against ALS. Visit tackleals.com today and support your team. Together, we will make a difference today, tomorrow, and for the future.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome back, folks. It's good to see everyone. Do you see them, Steve?
I do, Tom.
I see listeners.
I see. Remember the ad council had the campaign 30, 40 years ago, see it on the radio?
Yes, I do.
I thought that was genius.
Yes.
It paints the picture.
I can see why you thought that.
Come on, that was great. That was good. So now people can see it on the radio, but they can see it on YouTube too.
Absolutely,
so
YouTube.
So you got it both ways. Mm-hmm. They can see how handsome you are.
Not only do we broadcast from the Zoe Advertising Studios, but we got it all set up for video, and we catch all the camera angles, and sometimes guests bring in things they can show, right?
Yep.
Which is good. Now we can talk people into bringing in food.
Watching us sip coffee from our local show coffee mugs. And
it's good. People love to pull back the curtain and actually see that. Is that the mug?
There's the coffee show. The coffee show.
No, it's the coffee
pretty much
mug.
Is, especially on some segments.
And a lot of times we fill it with the Hyman Smith coffee from Smith's Restaurant Supply.
That's right.
So that's kind of cool. Right now, let's talk to a local favorite and sponsor of the show, Attorney John Murphy, owner of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. How are you, John?
I'm doing wonderful. And the talk about coffee made me want to do a coffee book that's shaped like a coffee table.
Yes.
You don't drink coffee.
You don't? I never knew that.
Drink coffee.
No, I don't drink coffee.
That's a shame.
Not really.
Oh, God. I don't trust people who don't drink coffee.
Why do I drink,
do you drink beer?
That's burned?
Yeah, right. Well, that's true. You drink
yes,
alcohol.
I do drink beer.
Okay, good. Good for you.
Steve doesn't drink beer. He likes, really light.
Girly drinks? John, you do girly drinks?
John takes bark off a tree, crushes it, adds like maple syrup or water, and then drinks like mud.
So you like a stout beer,
I like a Guinness and,
absolutely.
A Harp.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Killian's Red and stuff like that.
Yeah, Smittix is probably my favorite.
Smittix my favorite too.
Mick Ultra? Is that one of your beers? Probably not.
Mick Ultra will go down the toilet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Smittix, and he says it right. Now, my father-in-law is from Dublin, Ireland, and all of my wife's family from Ireland, right? So even the ladies, her aunts, they take the Guinness and they pour milk in it. Have you ever seen that where they do a little cream inside the Guinness? Yeah, that's kind of a thing.
I see his brain spinning.
From Ireland.
He's going to try it.
I guess it's pretty good. They do it a lot.
I've never seen a Guinness built that way.
Yeah,
that's what you do. You do not pour a Guinness. You build a Guinness.
You're right. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's talk about something.
I knew I liked John.
I'm thirsty.
For those of you who don't know, John is an attorney. That makes him an Esquire. And tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into Safe Harbor wills and trusts.
Well, Tom, one day when I was drinking a Guinness, I said,
Not true.
how should I do this?
Finishing up the bar.
Right. No, I used to have a general practice in my hometown of Phoenix, New York. I did a little bit of everything. This came up the other day. I even did adoptions.
No kidding.
Traffic tickets and real estate closings and all those types of things, and whatever would keep the doors open and the lights on.
And that's a lot of attorneys.
It is. And back in 2000, my fourth child was born, and due to various circumstances, my wife stayed home. So now I'm suddenly the sole support for 6 people, having to pay the insurance because my wife had the insurance. So you do whatever you needed to do. And then there came a time about 20 years ago or so where my wife's grandmother was in a nursing home. Her grandfather had died, and my mother-in-law said, "Can you help get Mom on Medicaid?" I didn't know this is what they were costing them. I said, "Sure, how tough can Medicaid be?" And I got into it, and I failed utterly, Tom. I don't like to admit that I failed, but I failed.
Right.
And not only did I fail, but I had to tell my family I failed. And I had to find somebody that could do this stuff, and we did find somebody, and my lack of knowledge didn't hurt them. Thankfully, I was able to recognize soon enough that I was over my head.
So are you still a loser?
I was a winner the minute I married my wife.
Okay.
There you go.
So what happened?
So I said, so Bob and Catherine were my wife's grandparents, and I said, I want to help out people like Bob and Catherine. They had their own businesses. My parents had their own business, and I saw this family on the brink of losing everything, right? Because they didn't have a long-term care insurance policy, and it was never going to happen to them, and family would take care of them. Sometimes you get too sick for the family to safely take care of you. And so I dedicated my professional life to learning as much as I can about long-term care, Medicaid, asset protection, those types of things, and totally changed my practice. And now this is all we do. Matter of fact, we had a client call yesterday and wanted us to do a closing. We don't do closings.
Right.
How about that?
And when I talk to clients of yours, one of the things overwhelmingly that comes up time and time again is how communicative you are and how easy you are to talk with, that you don't talk above their head and you talk specifically to their circumstances, and that's the way your whole staff treats them.
Yeah, we just have a different knowledge set than they do, not for better or worse. I have clients that can do things I could never think of doing.
Right.
But I try to break it down and, drive Steve nuts, try to use analogies.
Oh my gosh.
But if you could paint a picture verbally for people, I think it's easier for them to understand. So for instance, a lot of times people want to say, well, I went to the bank to put my bank accounts into trust, and they said I couldn't. Well, it's because you don't have the trust yet.
Right.
So we're building the house, and you have to get all that done before you put the furniture in the rooms, right? So, okay. That makes sense. I can't put anything in there until we've actually done it.
Right.
So we just try to, we're just regular people with different jobs. That's all.
Do people plan, wait? I mean, we all have known people that have been devastated by long-term care or nursing homes. We were just speaking with someone earlier this week, and someone was already in a nursing home. You can still help, right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. We have some folks today. They sent us in some things. We'll probably meet with them next week. We're going to be able to save 50% of everything they have, approximately, even though they're in a nursing home. And for them, that's going to be about $400,000. And one of the other things, Steve, it did come up in that conversation, people take information and they process it in a way that hurts them because they don't understand the nuances. This particular person gave money to a grandson to help purchase a house. So a lot of people would say, well, they can't get Medicaid for 5 years. That's not how that works. We'll be able to get this person Medicaid in about 24 months.
Wow.
I see.
And save about $400,000.
Yeah.
So we had somebody else that we're doing last minute Medicaid for. The family went through over $400,000 before they came to see us.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Goodness.
And we could have saved.
How do you absorb
You can save
that?
about half if you're single. You can save often if you're married and the spouse is at home. he can save all of it.
Wow. So if someone has a house, should everyone that has a house have a trust? Or
Yes. Almost
yes.
always. I'm gonna
Really?
say almost always.
Because?
Yeah. Well, even if you never go into a nursing home, you can keep your house out of the probate process. Okay, so probate is what happens to your stuff and what is inflicted upon your family when you have an asset that doesn't have an owner who's alive. So husband and wife own a house together, let's say. Husband dies first, wife owns the house. We don't have to do anything, right? Because the other owner's alive.
Right.
Well, now when the wife passes away, nobody whose name is on the deed is alive to sign a new deed. So the house goes through the probate process. Okay. If you put your house in a trust, the trust doesn't end when you die. So the owner of the house is the trust.
Which costs more? Because people say trusts are expensive, probate or trusts?
Probate.
And everyone has to go through probate eventually. Is that what I heard you say?
Well, if you own assets in your own name when you die.
Okay.
Right. So why does that cost more? Because on average, it's 3 to 7%. So I like to use 5% because I can do that math in my head. If you have a $200,000 house, probate 5%, $10,000.
Wow.
On average.
And you could do way more than that. I mean, you could, for 10 grand, you could protect everything every which way but loose and more.
Oh yeah, for 10 grand, we can protect things from long-term care. We can protect your assets if you need care at home. A lot of people don't understand. Medicaid can help pay for services to keep you at home. Medicaid can help pay for assisted living.
Right.
And you've all contributed to Medicaid.
So, Tom, I've got safeharborwillsandtrust.com, and I know that because I've said that before.
Yes, you have.
Safeharborwillsandtrust.com. They can call, even on the weekend, leave a message, 315-370-9977. Write that down, 370-9977. And a case manager or someone on the team will get back to
Yeah.
you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, John Murphy. That's attorney John Murphy, owner of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. And you've got a whole winter season to get ready for, swinging the clubs in the spring with Steve again.
I can't wait. I'm trying to get Steve to come down. Judy, please let Steve come with me and play golf on Saturdays.
Very nice. All right. Coming up next, folks, we're going to talk with Ray Manassa. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at the United Way of Central New York. Stick around. More local show to come on 570 WSYR and 106.9 FM.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
You found the golden nugget of the weekend. It's The Local Show, the last bastion of talk radio and talking about local businesses.
You're such a platitude person, Tom. You have all these platitudes that you launch.
Especially as we add in the fact that the holidays are just around the corner. People are going to be looking to get things to show appreciation and love to their peoples,
Their
right?
favorite radio show hosts?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. That's
okay.
That's what I meant to say. And send it all right here. No, but people should be doing business locally, and we have so many great local businesses, and it's also the season of giving. So people want to give to local organizations, and that's why we have our civic organizations on. And of course, somebody who's no stranger to that is the Chief Marketing Officer at the United Way of Central New York, and that's Ray Manassa, an old friend, and good to see you, Ray.
Great to see you. Thank you for having me back.
Thank you. How many years have you been over there now?
United Way. I just passed a 3-year anniversary.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, it's your first time in this building with our new studios, right?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
welcome.
And a beautiful new studio we have here.
Yes, we did it for Tom.
Just to keep me around, give me a reason to come in.
Yeah.
Ray, you've been around the horn a little bit. You've been in media for quite some time. Give us your background and, don't give it to me, but give it to the listeners. Oh, and the viewers now, because we have a really, great YouTube channel, and people can go and find Zoe Advertising on YouTube and hit that like button and follow us, and you'll be able to see Ray right now.
I thought the promise was I didn't need to have. I could have a face for radio, but I'm glad that I shaved.
You're younger and better looking than both Steve and I.
A little bit, yeah. It's a quick growth beard.
Ray shaves in the morning. He's got a full beard by nighttime.
He's that kid in high school. You're like, did you guys shave 3 times a day? You're that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Good golly.
So background-wise, Tom and I, we got to work together at Clear Channel, which is now iHeartRadio. Back in the day, doing a lot of creative and a lot of commercials. I worked with a local healthcare nonprofit initiative, and then really got to where something I've always admired was United Way. And working over United Way, I've been able to take marketing and advertising experience and say, let's put this to work for doing good in the community.
Explain what the United Way is. I don't think I really fully understood. I always thought it was a one organization that you would give to, but it actually represents a lot of organizations, right?
On the most basic level, Tom, you got it. We can donate to United Way as consumers, as people here in the public. And let's say United Way of Central New York. So all over the country, there are United Ways. So you'll see that national brand, and you'll say United Way. Okay, I've seen it on the football game. I've seen it over here and somewhere else. But what United Way of Central New York does is just like United Ways all over the country, which is it finds out what's the local need in the community, what are the human needs, and how do we best fund that? How do we best serve the programs that are going to serve whether it's hunger, homelessness, mental health, and every United Way might have a little bit different in terms of what they're looking to fund. Mm-hmm. But it's always evaluating the needs, constantly evolving in terms of where the funding is going, and trying to provide the most that we can. So you, me, anyone, we can give whatever we can afford, but if we do it together, we do more.
How specific can people give through an organization like the United Way?
Specific as in?
Like if I liked a certain charity or a certain organization, can I funnel that through the United Way, or do I have to give to them directly?
You can designate to a certain charity. What I would say though is, you only need to give some to United Way. You don't need to. We hope that you will.
Sure.
But it's really trying to inspire that thought of, once you understand what United Way is doing, you are going to probably find out. I'm still 3 years at United Way. I'm still finding programs and really getting to understand what they do. Mm-hmm. And it's a great jumping off point for someone to start to give and understand what's in our community. After that, I'd say keep giving. Mm-hmm. Give a few dollars to United Way. Give $50 a year just to start. And then start to get to understand what we do in this community and what these programs are. I can't tell you how many times people will say, I had no idea this was in the community, that this kind of program. And you go through this list of 70 programs that we're funding right now, that number changes. It changes based on need. It changes based on what we have available. We give what we get. If the community doesn't support United Way at the same level, we don't have the same amount of money. So there's been times where United Way has been able to do a lot more. Mm-hmm. But as industries have changed, things will change in terms of the total. We go up, we go down. I think we're at a time when we see things are changing right now. We have a lot of investment coming. We have a lot of new exciting things happening in the community. Yeah. So this is the way the community has always gone. You look at that 100 years and you go, it's gone up, it's gone down. We've had highs, we've had lows. We just need to keep giving and keep supporting those efforts that are supporting us.
Tell us about the organization's celebration of 100 years. And is that 100 years for the entire organization or just here in Syracuse?
That's just here in Syracuse. A lot of United Ways are hitting that 100-year mark. So we did hit that in 2021. We kind of carried it over throughout the year because with COVID, we couldn't do as many things for celebration. So the gala is coming up. The 100th anniversary gala is happening November 5th at the Landmark Theater. Mm-hmm. So united100.com will give everybody information about the gala if you're interested in attending. It's going to be a great event. No speeches, no sit down.
It just got better. No speeches.
Exactly.
What's going to happen there? I know that you were trying to get Steve to do his tap dance routine, but if that doesn't happen, what will people see?
Food, drinks.
Okay. Ooh, I like that.
DJ, cocktails, a 360-degree photo system on the Landmark stage. So you're going to have a 360-degree video of you standing on the stage and this thing spinning around you. Selfie booth, silent auction, all these.
It's more like a party,
basically.
Yeah, a celebration.
There you go.
It's a celebration. It's a celebration gala. It's not we're not going to make you sit down and kind of do 2 hours of watch this video, watch this speech. You want to watch them, we're going to have it available. You can always scan the QR code. You can watch the video on your own. But it's really about get together and celebrate what we've been able to do as a community for 100 years.
Good chance to network too, right?
Yes. It's every time we go out, it's like people are hugging for the first time and saying, I haven't seen you in so long. I haven't been available. And we go back to, Tom, your original question was about United Way or what was the 100 years. This started 100 years ago in Syracuse as the Syracuse Community Chest.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So if you've ever seen on that Monopoly board,
Monopoly, I was just thinking of that when you said it. Yeah.
And you've probably never thought of what does that mean.
Right.
It's actually something that was an action back in the 1920s that people got together and said, we can help all of these small organizations by giving to one community chest. And as they started to turn into United Ways and they started to kind of network together and say, we could do something on a larger national scale. So they all started to change into United Ways back in the 1950s and 1960s. So we at our heart are the Syracuse Community Chest. We are still United Way of Central New York.
Never knew that.
Yeah, that's
never
pretty cool.
Wow.
We are the local organization, local decisions, local investment. And this is happening in United Ways all over the country because that's how they all operate.
How can people give to the United Way? Let's, if we can do that in about, 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds, talk about the workplace and giving, individually.
If you are in a workplace where you have a United Way campaign, you can give through your paycheck. Or you could have the option of what we've expanded into is people being able to just determine on their own how they want to give. So many workplaces are doing you can choose to give through the same way you subscribe to Netflix. Mm-hmm. And you say, I'll give you $10 a month and I'll never watch the channel. But you can give through your own checking account, through your own debit card, through your own piece, through that, instead of just a payroll deduction. But I would say anyone who wants to donate can visit unitedway-cny.org. Click on the donate button. You'll find a way to sign up and give through there.
Excellent. You are a wonderful spokesperson for the United Way, and it's great to see you again. That's Ray Manasseh right there, Chief Marketing Officer at the United Way of Central New York, and you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, great. Hey, Steve, that's going to wrap up the local show. That means you can go off and fish from the shore since your boat's put away.
Thanks, Tom.
Have fun with that. On behalf of the local show and Tom and Steve, God bless you and your families. Get some physical activity today and every day. Eat well and stay focused on healthy living. The local show is heard every Saturday morning from 11 to 1 and then again on Sunday morning from 7 to 9. Listen together with a friend. So until next week, get down to business and keep doing business locally. Tell your friends about the local show right here on 570 WSYR 106.9 FM and streaming everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.